Greetings from Tbilisi, Georgia. This is Byrne, and that was a piece called Cloudland Ballroom. And, well, almost Happy New Year, but we have to get 2 more hours here in Georgia. Right now it's quiet, but it's going to get noisier and noisier here because Georgians do not wait for the top of midnight. They start about 15 minutes to just start blowing everything up. And long ago, I've said to myself, what they're doing is not so much welcoming in the new year as blowing up the old. And we'll be doing a little bit of that this evening. And we've got some treats. I think we might, I know we have a few greetings from different people who have sent in videos. Also, a little bit, not too long in the future, we're going to watch a short horror film, not particularly violent or anything, but kind of creepy. And it's called Living Dolls, shot by a friend of mine, Todd Coleman, and he'll be on the air to talk with us a little bit about it, and also on my Gravity from Above channel. I will have the whole film will be on then, and also a 15-minute interview I did with him last week. So that's something to look forward to. And so if you like that sort of thing, we'll get that out of the way soon. Let's see, what else do I want to say? You might be one of the people who I've invited to come on. If you are, you'll know when you feel like coming on. Todd, wait till we get, I announce you, and we'll do it that way. So, how are we? Where are we from out there on this fine New Year's Eve, 2023? Give me a few likes and clicks and such. Let me know where you're from. Send me a message. Oh yeah, there's this whole fundraising thing I am still doing because I didn't get to my goal yet, and I can't go until I get the whole amount. So it's if I have to wait until March to get the amount, I won't be able to travel until June, which would be way too close and way too hot. So I really need to get this soon, just to let you know where we are on the fundraiser and to explain a little bit to you about what we're doing here. So we have, let's see, are we doing anything? Yes, there we go. Come on. Okay, so I put up a new sheet here. This is nice. And so we've got the $12,000 goal. We had the $6,000 freighter charge, which we have, and we're getting very close to getting the barge from Alaska to Seattle so that I can use that freighter that we paid for. And we need $760 to get the total barge cost. And right now, what that means is, overall, we only need $4,760 to get there. Because after that, we have two more $2,000 costs. We have the truck and customs here in Tbilisi, and then the airfare round trip for me, because nothing will happen if I'm not there, from here to Alaska and back again for $2,000. So this is where we are. Some updates. Nicholas J gave us $50, and he will be collecting 50 Georgian music files. Samuel gave $70. Likewise, he will be picking things up. Jill gave $120, and William gave $220. That's where we last were, which brings us to a grand total of $7,000. Where did I write that? $7,240, which is pretty amazing. I am just always amazed that we've had that I get this much support for what I'm doing here, and I am really appreciative. And if you feel like contributing at any time during this 2-hour session, I'm not going to go too heavy on the fundraising because it's New Year's Eve. But I did want to remind you, I am not done. And help put me out of my misery. Contribute. I think the lowest amount we had was $2.89. There's an asterisk next to that one because that was a whole story. But $5. But I've had as much as $500. And you can use PayPal. That's an easy way to do it. Or you can go through GoFundMe. There are links below in the description. The GoFundMe is particularly good if you're either in, there's certain countries like Georgia, where I am now. I had my friend Lasha gave $500. Not wish. No Georgian's ever going to give me $500. Gave me $35, which was roughly around 100 lari. But it's also good if you need to give a much more generous amount and you want a tax-deductible receipt. That's the way to go. So I am still waiting for Todd's Living Dolls film to finally shrink itself so I can use it. Hopefully it'll shrink to the right size. I won't know until it's done in about 10 minutes or less. And what I'm going to do right now is play some of one of those Georgian songs that is the really cool stuff that you might get a sound file of if you give $50 or more. So let's do that. Then we'll be back with some New Year's thoughts, or end of the year thoughts rather. And let's listen to, this is a group called, I can't read the name. I can, but it doesn't make any sense to you if I do. Tushuri, Rame, whatever. So I'm sure you don't know what that means, but I'm sure you'll find the
خلاقی آغار بیقرار سیبرش موم پرم خلاقی آغار بیقرار سیبرش موم پرم رد داغمی جورده با رمم گامی ربیسا شنوین صدامی ایراده شنوردن جولو بدیسا مچم زگداخی مگراما ایکنه بگخده ربیسا أنا غوينا ماشيت أنت غالي أنت أولي شيمو ميدانت أنا شين دميقت لقيني أنا قارت قمو ميدانت أنا شين دميقت لقيني أنا قارت قمو ميدانت هاي
Okay, why I moved to Georgia, chapter 300. So, greetings. Who's out there? Give me some names here. And happy end of the year. I'd like to know if there's, well, I'm almost ready to show Todd's video, or well, it's an old film. I'll explain more about it in a moment, but I still have 2 more minutes or so, maybe 3 minutes of transcoding. How's that? But meanwhile, I think that for me, 2023 was both a very good year, and also I felt kind of like slightly removed from it. I don't think it was quite as exciting as events globally, certainly. Although there's the whole Israel war and the Ukrainian war continues, and a lot of good things happened to me here in Georgia. But nevertheless, I think part of it is that there's been a certain kind of thing that's just been holding me down personally, and so that's for me it was an interesting year. Some of the things that for me made it really interesting was the gathering in Georgia. I invited people who watched the channel. Anyone who wanted to come. I got 6 men ranging from 20 years old to about under 40, just under 40. And it was quite a time. We went around and saw Georgian cultural things and spent time in the mountains. And there are a couple of videos on that. If you haven't watched those, I would highly recommend them. Greetings in Houston, Lance. Glad to have you. Anyone else want to spill the beans on where you're from? Let me know. Also, one of the important things was I met exiled Russian puppeteers here in Georgia, and that was really fascinating. And I got to watch them working on some projects. Had them over. I had a couple of them over on my house for my birthday in July, and one of them performed a whole little show here, which is, I think, something that's very important to have home little performances. It's a great way to capture the evening or a time back from all the media we have. So let's see, who else have we got here? Stephanie, glad to have you from North Carolina, which is interestingly enough, no, Todd's from South Carolina, but yeah, they're the Carolinas. And anyone else want to tell me where you're from while you're there? Let me know. And let's see where we are on the transcoding. Only a few seconds, then I have to upload it to StreamYard. So we're almost there. Todd, why don't you go ahead and use that link I gave you and try to come aboard, and we'll go from there. I think I'll be ready for you in just a couple of moments. So Todd, go ahead and try to get on if you can. Okay. Yeah. Oh no, it's still too big. Sorry, Todd. We'll talk about it. So go ahead and come aboard, and yeah, and it will take me too long to transcode it one more time. I made it I made it bigger than it was. So Todd, go ahead and use the link, the StreamYard link I gave you. And who else have we got here? Professor Steve Liano, PhD. I'm glad to hear you're educated. Greetings from Long Island. I have been there. I got stuck once in Montauk. I took the train all the way to the end of Long Island and then just kind of wandered around. It was quite a fascinating day. And then I came back. I went out there early in the day, came back around, I don't know, 3 o'clock to the train station. And some guy said, where are you from? I said, sorry, he didn't say that. I said, when's the next train? And he said, it isn't until 1 o'clock tomorrow. And I was just like so depressed. And so I started hitchhiking. This was in the late 1980s. Tried hitchhiking home. Crazy trip. And then I got to, what was it, East Hampton, where the train also comes. I saw, oh, it's coming soon. And then I realized the guy meant 1 in the morning, which is very different than 1 tomorrow. And eventually I got home after a whole night of traveling and not sleeping. That was fascinating. Anyway, Long Island, been there. Let's see, Margarita, glad to have you. You're also Megan, aren't you? Let's see. And then Palomabron. Am I saying that right, Frank? glad to have you. Okay, hold on a minute. I think we've got no, that's a new subscriber to my Substack. Speaking of my Substack, I do have a Substack channel, and I put up an essay which is about to be joined probably tomorrow or the next day. I put up a few things there, but most recently a Taylor Swift, a pretty detailed essay called "Who is Taylor Swift?" And I see Todd out there. I'll bring you on in a moment, Todd, after a little introduction. And actually, let me see if I've got no, I can't do that. Alas, I should have done that earlier, so I could have, but it'll be more of a mystery. So I have this Taylor, the first one is called "Who is Taylor Swift?" and the second one is called "Taylor Swift, Goddess, Witch, or Christian?" And it's actually quite a complex thing. Just a reminder, I am still doing the fundraiser. Links down below. Georgian music files for anyone over $50. And here's Todd. Todd Coleman was literally one of the first people I met when I moved to New York City in 1980. I met him through a group called NIAG, which was short for the New York Arts Group. And someone told me, oh, you need to talk to Todd because he's made this short horror film. And I said, really? Because even back then I was into horror films. and it was called Living Dolls. And recently, it's been getting more traction. Someone put up there isn't, well, we'll talk to Todd a little bit about that. But if you want to see the whole thing, and I'll put a link in the description below once I put this up, then go to my Gravity from Above page where I have the whole video, the whole movie. It's about 10 minutes long. We'll describe a little bit of it here. And then I have a 15-20 minute discussion with Todd about how he made it. So we'll just say hello to Todd here and go from there. So add Todd. Howdy. And here you are. Great.
Right.
So yeah, so I met you evidently in the latter part of 1980 because that was when I arrived in New York City. The reason I know the day I arrived in New York City so well, which was October 9th, was because that was John Lennon's birthday. It was 8th or 9th? Anyway, whatever. It was there was a, Yoko Ono had paid for skywriting saying, "Happy birthday, John." Little did anyone know that would be his last birthday. And I was in New York City when he was assassinated. So that was a fascinating time. But also, I met you through the New York Arts Group. Maybe you can explain a little bit of what that was. It no longer exists, I am assuming.
Yeah, it existed throughout the 80s, and it was an amazing time. A lot of Christians had come from homes where art was not appreciated, valued, and no one wanted their kids to become an artist. And so, but we were kind of like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like we're following the creativity, creating.
Right.
Isn't there a little bit of a link there, perhaps? Is God not an artist? So we just explored that. Dancers, painters, sculptors, photographers, filmmakers.
Yeah. When I look back, I realized we had a lot of fairly professional people who were there at the thing. And I often wonder, it's like I gave a couple of lectures. And I often wonder, it's like, jeepers, was I speaking out of turn? Like, because some of these people were much more professional about what they were doing. I had just come from L'Abri a year earlier, and I gave a few lectures there. I gave a lecture in California, which connected punk rock, horror, and fashion imagery. And and I gave that at Sonoma State College of all places. But yeah, coming to New York, I mean, literally, if you'd asked me in June when I was working in Glacier National Park in Montana, what I was going to do, I did not have an answer. But I went straight from there by train. I had met our mutual friend, Christine Anderson, who is a pretty accomplished artist. And she kind of said, yeah, Bern, come. And so I just came. I think I had $1,500 in my pocket. And even though that's a lot, that's 1980 money, so it's worth a lot more than $1,500 today. It was still not what you needed to survive a week in New York City at the time. But do you remember when we first met? I don't remember the exact moment. Might have been at a.
Well, I'm not sure, but I certainly remember when you started teaching and giving lectures. That was for me. Probably your lectures were the highlights of that decade for me in the New York Arts. I remember the talk I think you just referred to was called The New Dark Ages.
Yeah, I like to talk about that stuff then. I still do.
Right. So I wanted to ask you, actually, the scientific method is to come up with a theory and then to test the theory by making a prediction. So you made a lot of predictions back then based on your theories of where culture was going. Right. I wonder which of them proved true and which of them did not.
Well, I was kind of imagining a more road warrior world. And here's what I've come to understand. If you go to Somalia today, it's a road warrior world. And so different countries, Afghanistan is kind of a road warrior world. Different countries have slid into this dark age. There's a writer, Robert D. Kaplan, who in the 1990s wrote a book called The Coming Dark Ages. I actually interviewed him on the radio there, and he was talking about, the coming anarchy? No, yeah, that's what it was, the coming anarchy, which to me fit in with my dark age idea. And he basically said, more and more you're seeing the breakdown of things. And I think where we are now, we feel that breakdown, even in America. When you go to small town in the middle of the Midwest or the South or something, and you see stuff like the meth epidemic or the opioid crisis, you see the poverty, you see the crime, you're starting to say to yourself, yeah, this is different than when I was young. When I was young, there was poverty, but it didn't have that edge on it. And so
it's kind of cultural entropy.
Yeah. But I always feel that we can do something about it. But
I agree.
Part of the doing something about it is seeing it. And Jacques Ellul has a great book called Hope in a Time of Abandonment. And what he describes in that book is you have to get to the end of all the false hopes before you can get to the real hope. And
Yeah.
I think that's how I look at where we are. In a way, I feel like these times, once we got to 2020, I said, finally, we're in my period. We've arrived for what I've been preparing for since the late 1970s. So.
Well, I personally feel that 2024 is going to be a super challenging year, and that the kind of breakdown that you were imagining is going to accelerate dramatically in 2024. There's a terrific book, I think it's Peter Zeiler, called The End of the World is Just the Beginning. Do you know that?
Peter Zeihan?
Maybe so. Yeah. The End of the World is Just the Beginning. It's an unbelievable book and incredibly well researched. And he talks about, among other things, we've been in this kind of Pax Americana where the whole world has been able to become a global economy. So even third world nations can play in the game, But if America backs away from that, as he is predicting, then suddenly a lot of third world countries will devolve to, very kind of primitive, It's not going to be good for a lot of places that don't have their own kind of range of resources, natural resources, that kind of thing.
Yeah, this is what his name looks like if anyone's interested. And and he's all over YouTube doing interviews and giving a lot of interviews and such. He has his own channel, I believe, but I've certainly started paying attention to him as well. And so just a reminder, we're going to talk to Todd in just a moment about this crazy little film he made back in 1980. But I am looking for, if anyone has any little or great contributions to make to bringing my library in a container, 12 time zones, 2 oceans, from Alaska to Georgia. I am only $4,760 away from a $12,000 goal to getting there. And we did have a few people who gave after I shut this down. I obviously took some time off for Christmas and gave everyone else a break. But I can't take a break because at the moment, a container in Seattle is doing great, but my container isn't there yet. So I'm trying to get it there. The next step is to get it on a barge. So we're working on the $2,000 barge from Haines, Alaska to Seattle right now. So there's links below in the description if you feel like giving. So I was going to show, but unfortunately I couldn't shrink the video. I'd made it like over a gigabyte big. But why don't you tell us a little bit about your film, Living Dolls, and what it is, and don't give it all away, but obviously.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It happened a little bit by accident. I was going to NYU Film School. I was home for the summer in Charleston, South Carolina. I had an incomplete in my first year of a course called Sight and Sound. My professor, a few years later, Scorsese dedicated his perhaps greatest film, Raging Bull, to Haig Manoogian, who I was privileged to study under. But I had an incomplete in his course, and I was home for the summer, and I had a summer job working as a handyman at a bridal shop.
Right.
And which, you know, the sexual politics for a young man of that were a little challenging at the time. And so I would kind of escape upstairs to a storage room, which was a room full of mannequins in bridal gowns. And obviously there was no way not to turn that into a film. So then it was just a matter of, okay, what's the story here? And so it was a story about a young man named Melvin, not played by me, but played by a classmate of mine named Park Doherty, who did an amazing job. And basically I shot footage, got some friends together. We shot probably 20 minutes, went back to finish my senior year of film school because I transferred halfway through from UVA, and then came back the next summer, shot a few more, you know, a little bit more footage. 3 years later, it took 3 years to make a 9.5-minute film, but it eventually won some awards and played on HBO and Cinemax and actually made its money back.
Great. So we don't want to go into all the territory we cover in our
Yes.
interview. Save some of that, but I'll give you my impression. It's essentially a horror film about mannequins, and it's also more about I think it's confronting the female image in this form of mannequins, fear of the female, but I think it's also the thing with the mannequins themselves, which is separate from being female, just these large images. So, but I recommend checking it out tomorrow. So what are you up to these days, Todd? What can you share with?
I am 7 years into a book called Confessions of a Recovering Peter Pan.
That's you?
Well, that's us. That's the entire, all of Western culture, and quickly expanding to the entire globe. It takes privilege to be a Peter Pan. It takes but the economic post-war prosperity of the U.S. created the baby boomers, which created the Peter Pan syndrome, which is the phenomenon of grown-ups not growing up. And since the boomers came along and started raising their own children and generations down to Gen X, Gen Millennials, and Gen Z and beyond, no one ever has to grow up ever again. You can be a teenager in your 80s and no one even blinks anymore.
Right.
So I'm using my own comic misadventures to illustrate this phenomenon, and so I call it a cautionary memoir.
Nice. I was just there was a video I saw today on this channel called Moon, and he was talking about the laptop generation, which is not the Z's but younger. That parents now just regularly give their kids laptops and phones at such a young age that these kids are, you know, you and I are old enough to remember playing outside and getting lost in the woods and hide and go seek games that got out of hand and all that sort of stuff. And then, you know, there are people who grew up watching television. I grew up watching television too, but I certainly spent a certain amount of time outside with playing. But then, and then sometimes coming home with, like, you know, bruised arms and, falling off my bicycle and stuff like that. But, the last couple of generations have more and more been stuck inside screens, have been, whether it's video games or, just playing DVDs and the internet. And now this new generation is literally, they're starting to say it's kind of, well, someone used the phrase nature challenged or nature disordered, that they don't connect with nature. And I think that it's something we really have to lean against. And unfortunately, the young parents aren't getting the message. That is to say that it's the parents' generation now who will it's so easy to babysit kids with screens,
Right.
and it's once you discover that, it's like, why do you want to go through all the rest of it? So,
Right.
Well, Todd, I am going to play another piece of music, and we're going to say our farewells now. Again, on Gravity from Above, there will be a link below when this gets out into the larger sphere once it's done being live. Go check out Living Dolls and listen to the full interview I did with Todd. Thanks for coming on, Todd, and
Thank you.
a good 2024 to you.
You too. Happy New Year.
Okay, so a little music. And while I'm doing a little music, remember, you can contribute to the fund. Meanwhile, here's a nice piece of music by a Polish singer named Dziewięta Wrota, singing a piece by Wojciech Kilar that was featured in the film The Seventh Gate. That is a vocalise, which is a piece without words. Beautiful, beautiful. Wojciech Kilar, Polish composer, was one of my favorite composers from the end of the 20th century, beginning of the 21st century, passed away a few years ago. So, yeah, we have $7,240. We need to get to 1,200. That's up to you. Links below. What I would like to do now is there anyone who'd like to come on from who's watching and talk about their 2023 a little bit and their hopes for 2024? If you wish to come on, here is what I suggest. If you don't have my link already, I did send it out to a few people. Use my reckoning motions at yahoo.com that I'm putting on the screen right now. Send me a quick email saying, yeah, I want to come on, or get me Burn, and I will send you a link to come on, and we can do that. So if you'd like to do that, please do. I would like to talk to some more people. Meanwhile, while I'm waiting to get people to talk to, let me play you. I've got a couple of people here who have given me some greetings. Here is James Wallace he does the Western Arts and
Happy New Year,
Center.
Burn. This is James from 20th Century Music and Arts. Wishing you a great 2024. I hope in 2024 some of the stagnation of the arts that have been around since about the beginning of the millennia can change. And I hope in 2024 that your library will arrive in Tbilisi, Georgia, and that it can be used as a great resource to further explore your analysis of the arts. Again, Happy New Year, Burn.
Thank you, James. So glad to have you aboard. By the way, I went for a great walk today, and what I did while I was walking, I have different rituals I like to do every year, and it helps me to make the year. I find by having definite rituals that you do at different times of the year, that really helps to put a punctuation on things, and it's those punctuations you remember. So one thing I like to do the last day of the year is reflect on the year and reflect on what my life up till that point. Hey, Tayo, you want to come on again? If you do, I believe I sent you a link, but just use it. Otherwise, use the reckoning motions. And Happy New Year to you. You just come on for a few minutes. I'm just taking people as they come and go. But what I like to do, so I went up, let me show you this short visual image, and this is Tbilisi. This is Tbilisi, and I took a hike today. Literally, I live way down below this spot you're looking at. You see large black and white buildings there. I live literally below those across the street. And if we go back to that, let me show you that again. Look off in the distance in this short clip, and you'll see there's tons of snow on the high Caucasus in the background. You see it way in the background there, white line on the horizon. There is a really tall mountain there that is 15,000 feet, taller than Mont Blanc, and is called Mount Kazbegi. And I was hiking up in the mountains above my house today. I have to admit, I cheated to get there. Here they call it a ropeway. Other places they call it a gondola. Some places call it a cable car. Some places in France it's a teleferique. Other people it's, I don't know, one of those cars that goes on a single wire up the side of the mountain. And then I walked down. It took me an hour to walk down. I got lost in the most thorniest bushes that were penetrating into me. But that's part of the fun of it. I actually had to backtrack. Normally I don't, but I ended up with these amazing thorns. I'm actually going to make a video about that little trip and put it on tomorrow on Gravity from Above. And reminder to see Todd, no, Gravity from Above has Todd's Living Dolls video, and Georgian Crossroads will have the my kind of summation of my I realized I just had my 5th year anniversary here. And so I did a much bigger 4-year retrospective, 2 videos, but I'm just doing an addendum for the 5th year. And I think that'll be interesting tomorrow. So what else? Anybody want to come aboard? If you do, let me know and I'll send you the link. It would be great to get your thoughts about 2023, how it was for you, what you thought about anything, music, movies, the society, and what was good, what was bad, maybe, and what you're looking forward to in 2024. So, which is really amazing to think about. I've been here, what, 5 years as of December 15th. So, what else have we got? So, okay, Tayo. I have the link and we'll come on in a few minutes. Great. It'd be great to have you on again. And so anybody else want to come on, they can do that too. I'm just, this is a different sort of thing. Yeah, I'm doing some fundraising because that is important, but I'm not going to do it all the time. I'm more interested in how your year was. And let's see, let's do another one. I've got another short one here. This is from Stockholm. I've forgotten the guy's name. Because he's someone who's just revealed himself. He was a lurker who's now in the gig. So let's watch him.
Aloha, greetings from Stockholm, Scandinavia, Sweden, I might add. This is a video message to all of you who subscribes to the Anadromist channel, interested in bringing back the material and physical aspects of reality in a world that seemingly strives to push us away into the digital realm. If you're a filmmaker or a visual artist, here is some tips and encouragement on how to present your films and visual art in the year 2024. Make a silent film show out of your films. Make an event where you play the music live in front of an audience to the films. And if you're not a musician, then make like live Foley sound effects, gather material, small gadgets like acoustic things, interesting, visually interesting things that produce an interesting sound, and make it into a live show. And I recommend you to further proceed with performing the dialogue live, even to the films, like the old Benshi ceremony masters of Japan in the silent film era used to do, where you present the dialogue yourself or with a friend.
Fundera fram och tillbaks, gnugga energiknölarna och kommit fram till att en grej som jag faktiskt skulle kunna tänka mig att göra, det är att bli en drömtydare.
In everyday life, since it is the holiday seasons, I would recommend you to send Christmas cards to loved ones and make your own Christmas cards, interactive Christmas cards, and make them interesting and peculiar. Use materials, glue on, wool, googly eyes and string, or whatever you can find. And when you send these cards, the receiver will be conscious of two things. They will be conscious about the tactile aspect of the things, the interactive aspect of the card, and they will be conscious about that someone took their time to make this thing. So with that being said, I hope you have a great 2024, and as we say in Sweden, God jul och gott nytt år. Happy New Year. Thank you.
That was great. That was actually Martin, whom I've never, I don't remember ever communicating with him in the comment section, and not here. And there he is. I love that. I love finding out these lurkers, people in the background. But what a great suggestion is doing things. I've often thought, I mean, I want to say that the little tactile Christmas card, that's a puppet. And yeah, great ideas. Do things, have little events for friends. When you have a dinner or any sort of special thing, don't just rely on recorded music. Don't have a TV on anywhere unless you're specifically showing movies to everyone. But, but like I said, one of the best things I did this year was I had Lida, who was a Russian puppeteer, did a solo show. She brought all her stuff. I set up a table for her, and she did it. We all gathered around. I have the empty room waiting for the library, hint, hint. And it was great. I had about 15 people over on my birthday, and that was just a great moment. So, okay. Yes. Upcycle just found out about Yuri Norstein and another gentleman I haven't heard of, or is it Francesca, evidently a woman. I tried to order a Yuri Norstein DVD, and I just really hate watching the stuff on streaming. I mean, yeah, I can do it, but the quality is always better on DVD or Blu-ray. And as I've discovered, my YouTube stuff here, especially if I watch it on the television, is just clogged with commercials and advertisements. I mean, just clogged. So I only use it when I have to. My normal laptop viewing is not so clogged, but unfortunately, moving into the world of the phone and the smart TV has exposed me to far more advertising than I want to see. So that's why one of the reasons why I collect physical media, including the digital DVDs, Blu-rays. So what else? Well, let me play you something else I've got here. Now, this one was sent to me, and it's called VNA and the Panopticon. And at first I thought, what are you sending to me? And then I realized, okay, it does deal with all of this in some way. And this is more experimental, but hey, I'm not here to tell you how to interpret this. And at the end, he gets to some stuff. So this is about a 3-minute and 50-second piece. Enjoy it.
The panopticon is the form of the ideal prison, designed around 1787 by English philosopher Jeremy Bentham. Over 300 prisons around the world follow this model. A circle of diameter of 100 feet. Around the perimeter of this circle are stretched cells. Each cell is 9 feet deep and 48 per floor. Each cell has a toilet, a bed, and space to work. The cells rise 6 floors. On every other floor there is a surveillance corridor, in which a guard may survey 2 floors of prisoners. The guard watches the prisoners, but the prisoners do not see the guard and do not know when they are watched, and must therefore act as if they were always watched. 3 guards each see 96 prisoners, which makes 288 prisoners total. In the centre of the space there is an auditorium, in which the prisoners may assemble to be lectured. A wall of screens may rise surrounding the chapel, and separating the prisoners from seeing the input, or from seeing each other from across the void of the empty space in the middle. Spiral staircases ascend through the space.
reception to all establishments whatsoever.
Jeremy Bentham.
Okay, Upcycle. Thanks for sharing that. Not quite the assignment, but exactly the assignment, and I really appreciate it. So, very good. I like the fact that people send different kinds of things to same assignment. Different people have different interpretations. That's wonderful. We've got one more greeting coming up, and if anyone wants to come aboard, they can come aboard by taking the following email, and it's also in the description below. Write that email, reckoningmotions@yahoo.com. Send me a link, and I will send you an invitation, and you can come on board. So let me know about that. I would like to talk to more of you. We're going to be here past midnight my time. It's now 11:03 in Tbilisi, Georgia. And at a certain point, unfortunately, I'm not at a place where I can see out my window and watch the insanity of the fireworks. Last year, I crawled up on the side of that mountain with some Belarusian people I had met in their exile from the darker lands to the north. And that was quite amazing to get above it all and watch the city erupt. But what I will do is probably stick something outside or at least open up the window here so you can hear the insanity as we get closer to midnight. Like I said, they don't wait for midnight here. They just go nuts. They start about 15 minutes ahead of time, and then after a while, it's just gone. I'm going to play a piece of music right now. Just a reminder that we are giving away 50 Georgian music files for a $50 thing. And Andrei from Yugoslavia, not even former, Albania. I'm sorry, Andrei, I didn't mean to do that. For some reason, Yugoslavia, I've been reading about it. But Andrei from Albania just gave me $100, which is great. And I'm going to write that up on the board. We'll come back after the song. And he's double dipping. So anyway, Andrei, you're going to get at least 100 Georgian music files sent to you soon. So here you go. Meanwhile, speaking of Georgian music files, watch this. We'll be back soon. Links below to donate to the cause. GoFundMe or PayPal.
ჭრელსა ჩულებსა ცენს გოფდა ჩაგიგმაზვიდე დაგიქცო ჭრელსა ჩულებსა ცენს გofda ჩაგიგმაზვიდე გაგცვლი დიტანი სამოსა ხორძილში გაგისტუმრებდე დაგიჭერ ცხენის უზანგას თანელა ჩაგიცინებდე დაგიჭერ ცხენის უზანგას თანელა ჩაგიცინებდე მომირე კავდი სტუმრებსა ქალ გოხდა დაგიხდებოდა მოვდე სიტყვას გეტყოდი ისეცა ვაჟკაც თავს მოგაწონებდე სიტყვას გეტყოდი ისეცა ვაჟკაც თავს მოგაწონებდე ქალო მაგერერო კოხდაო და ხელს არ მაძლევ ხელშია ვიფთხვები ჯეირანივით დაიგრიხები წელშია ვიფთხვები ჯეირანივით დაიგრიხები წელშია არ ვკადრობ რადგან წემსი ვარ და გამოზრდილი მთებშია რადგან ცხვარს დავდევ ყოველ დღე ჯოხი მიჭირავს ხელშია რადგან ცხვარს დავდევ ყოველ დღე ჯოხი მიჭირავს ხელშია ჩემსავი ძველი ნაბადი შეროდის გიტარებია ჩემსავით მწარე დღეები შეროდის გამოგივრია ჩემსავით მწარე დღეები შეროდის გამოგივრია მომეცი ტკბილი სალამი წემსი ვარ გამეხარდება გულს ჩახოცილი დარდები ვარდივით ამიყვავდება გულს ჩახოცილი დარდები ვარდივით ამიყვავდება შერო მიცოდე ჯეილო უნებას შეგისრულებდე დაგიქცევ ტრელსა ჩულებსა ცხენს გოხდათ შაგიგმაზვინდე დაგიჭერ ცხენის უზანგას თანელა ჩაგიცინებდე
Okay, I am bringing on two people at once here. I've got Tayo and James, and that looks good. And almost Happy New Year to both of you. How are you doing? How are you guys doing today? Tayo?
I'm good.
Yeah, good evening to you both. Thanks for having us on, Bern.
Well,
Yeah,
you
nice
guys
to meet
are-
both. Nice to meet you, Tayo.
Yeah.
You too, James.
So let's do this one at a time. So Tayo, what's your 2023 been like?
2023 has been, I think, like any year, ups, down, and somewhere in between. But I was thinking as I was waiting in the background, listening to the music, there's a podcast that I listen to frequently called You Know What Dude, our comedian podcast, and they often do this rose, thorn, and seed at the end of the year. And I think it would be easier for me to talk about 2023 in terms of a rose, a thorn, and a seed. And this year, the rose was definitely to, I got to go to the Chino conference
Wow.
this past summer, and that was definitely a big highlight of the year. So that would be the rose. The thorn would be, ironically, I got to spend a lot of time back home with my family, and that's something that I had not done for a long period since I was 18.
So
And-
that's in Nigeria?
No, this was like with my then here back home with my dad and my stepmom, and my younger siblings. I had not been there since I left for university. So, well, I'd not lived there consistently. So that was
Right.
a lot of old frictions and all sorts. So that was somewhat a thorn, but for the most part also a blessing.
Mhm.
And the seed being something that I've started this year that I'm looking forward to coming to fruition next year would be, since coming back from Chino, I started working on a small documentary about Speaker's Corner. So that's hopefully comes out next year.
What's the documentary on?
It's about Speaker's Corner, which is a place in London the working subtitle is a spiritual battle for London.
Right. That's Hyde Park, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that would be interesting. So do you have a YouTube channel? You must. It's just
I do not. yet,
You don't?
but that's also part of the seed for next year.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it would be really interesting to see what you're working on there. Did you hear any music or see any films or participate in any creative things this year that you felt that was really something that was memorable for one reason or another?
Yes, music. It's funny because I'm getting older. Usually every year I will have like a top 10 albums of the year, and I'll be very up to date with what's going on and checking on my favorite artists to see what they've put out. But this year, for the most part, I've just sort of let what come to me musically. But yet, I've enjoyed a few projects. I quite liked Travis Scott's new album, which was something that I didn't think I would. It was similar to a lot of his old stuff that I've listened to, and some were okay, but this somehow got to me more. I enjoyed that more, and a few other projects. But films, I'm really looking forward to watching Ferrari, which I'm going to
Oh,
see
right.
tomorrow, and
Yeah.
I might do a double feature and also catch Godzilla -1, which I saw you spoke to Justin Wells about.
Yeah. I am so upset they had it here for 1 week at the biggest screen in town at the IMAX theater, but the IMAX theater is on the edge of the city, and they had it at 10 o'clock at night, the English subtitled version. And I was just like, oh, and I couldn't get there because the metro shuts down at midnight, and there was just no way. But I was getting desperate, and I said, okay, maybe I'll just take a taxi or something if I can do that. And then it was gone within a week. So I guess I just have to wait for it on
Blu-ray.
So, hey, James.
Hi, how you doing?
Did you see Godzilla?
No, I'm pretty bad about, and I guess that's why my channel's called 20th Century Music and Arts. You're actually way more attuned to new stuff than me.
Yeah, which is funny.
I do occasionally see some films, and but I'm generally much more of a arts historian.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel a lot of stuff after the millennium. And I'm trying to put my finger on it. What bothers me a lot about it,
Yeah.
particularly with the way music is recorded.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there is a lot of interesting film out there, but I guess one of the factors is that the rise of these sort of new blockbusters where you have to appeal to an entirely global market has killed off sort of a lot of these mid-level films that used to be available.
Right.
So I'm like, I could never see a year like 1999 again, where you had films like Fight Club being John Malkovich, having quite a large audience and being released in the mainstream. I don't know if that would happen in Hollywood now. So yeah, but yeah, I'm not really too hip to the new stuff. I probably should be more. You're actually a lot more attuned than I am.
One thing I've been thinking about more, there's a Swedish channel that I watch by a guy called Rumi, and the name of the channel is Rumi Official, like Rumi, like roommate. And these guys are interesting to me because they're often talking about the music they really like. And it's amazing to me, they only hear the production. They don't actually hear the song. So they'll do things like they'll compare, what was it, like a Bob Dylan performance to, I don't know, Katy Perry or something. And Bob Dylan they call untalented. And for one thing, I was saying, they would be, what was it? They were, and someone pulled out a video of Dylan, I don't know, 10 years ago or something like that, when he's obviously well past his prime, and comparing that. But the more I watch them, because I'm really fascinated with how they approach music, because it's very different than me. And there's so much production going on. So they're hearing the sound of the music, but they're hearing very specific things. They want it super clean. They want the vocalist to be on pitch. So these guys, they don't mind if it's got auto tune, although they'll do videos of whether a singer can sing without the auto tune or not. But I was to hear you talking about movies just now and the blockbuster stuff, I just realized that both the movies and the music have both basically been so affected by digital editing and digital stuff that they have, you know, and so if I was 20 years old right now, I would look back at even like the music from the 90s and stuff and go like, it just doesn't sound right to me because it doesn't have a certain feel about it. It's always got to be a bit more, it's got to have certain kinds of emotions, but not. Hey Tayo, have you heard the phrase vibey?
Vibey,
like a vibe.
Yes.
Some people are saying that music now has gotten more vibey. It's more about the vibe than it is, for instance, about the hook and stuff like that. What do you think of that?
Oh gosh. So my musical journey is basically from in my teens was digging deeper into older rap and like comparing it to my contemporary music. And vibey is the word for it. It's vibey basically means stripping. Well, for my context, it meant not worrying about lyrics and just the production matters more. So in the 2010s, people like Metro Boomin, and a few others, where you look forward more to the producers than, like, it doesn't really matter who the singer is, but at this yet it's the singer that gets the accolade. So I remember in the late teens there was a real push to give producers more credit because everyone sort of acknowledged that they're the one creating this, like, the vibe, so to speak.
And for me, that's really interesting. That's a real difference because it's not like anyone is pulling out. It's a different sound that isn't like, I rarely hear music, just as far as the music goes, that strikes me as something that couldn't have been done earlier, but the production strikes me as very different. And I think that's a real element. Hey, James, what kind of things what was your 2023 like?
No, my 2023 is not bad. It sort of ended with some severe back pain. I was initially not going to go on, but I decided to. But no, yeah, it's been pretty good. I want to go back to after you showed me how to, speaking of production, you showed me how to do the recording a little bit better and the production improved on my videos. So I'm actually going to go back and redo the older videos I had on the rise and fall of alternative music, Marquis Smith in the fall, and history of sort of thrash metal in the 80s. I want to redo those with clips. And it's funny because the one on thrash metal, I got like 19,000 views on those videos. But now my videos on average do about 200. So it's right. Weird. I think because maybe I was just a new producer, someone gave me a chance with those specific videos. And then I thought, all right, I've got it made here. I'll
no, you never know.
Yeah. And then it just went back to like 200 views.
No, view count doesn't tell you a lot. What tells me a lot, besides the fact people were donating to me, is the fact that if I just put a announcement video, I've got some stuff happening here. If I just put an announcement video, okay, hold on a second. That in itself will get maybe 200 views. That tells me who the hardcore people for the channel are.
Yeah.
If I put a video that's like some of the ones I've done recently that are about visual education or these kind of how to start a library and stuff, if I look at the totals on those, they average around 500-600 right away, and they'll grow over time. I make stuff that is, except for the announcement videos, most of what I do is meant to last for a while.
Yeah.
And then if I do something like The Barbie video is well over 1,000 now, but I've got stuff like the Rookmacher What is Reality video is 4,500. Of course, the biggest video I did was my interview with Jonathan Peugeot, and I wanted to do him again, but I want to finish up the Cute and Creepy series.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. That's
so-
definitely, that's the one I want to
What?
definitely see. Yeah,
Yeah.
what I like about your videos is I often go back to them because there's a lot of
Exactly.
area
That's
for
cool.
rich discussion. And that's kind of what I wanted to do as well. I wanted to have a kind of archive of looking at a specific subject
Right.
that people can just look and find rather than sort of reacting to something new that's happening.
So what I'm going to do is play a piece of music right now that I'm going to deal. I've got some stuff happening in the background here, and I'm going to deal with that. And remember, folks, if you want to contribute to the fundraiser to get my library all the way from Alaska to Georgia, 12 time zones away, do that. Meanwhile, guys, hang on. And let me see. What am I going to play? Okay, here's a friend, Richard Lund, giving his thoughts, 4 minutes worth of thoughts for the channel. So we'll play Richard, then we'll be back.
Hello, this is Richard Lund saying hello to all of the friends of Burn Power in Tbilisi, Georgia, and throughout the world. I have enjoyed learning a great deal from Burn and hope that he has a chance to get his library where he lives and can use that as a really abundant resource. And so I encourage you to support that effort. Whatever you can do is great. And I also want to say that I do expect a lot of trouble in the coming year. I believe we'll have riots in the streets again in Los Angeles and throughout the United States, especially in the major cities. I believe there'll be an attempt to stop the election or to interfere with the election of either Donald Trump or whoever may be running from the populist side, which would include, of course, R.F. Kennedy Jr. and Vivek Ramaswamy. I do hope that our Constitution will prevail. That's my great hope. Of all the things that may come, whether it's another infection, some kind of dangerous disease, maybe an EMP where our power supplies are knocked out for an extended period of time, we certainly have not prepared well to defend against that. And I believe that we'll have food shortages, not only just, obviously in many parts of the world, but there may be parts of the United States even that have a shortage of available foods because of the trucking problems and ways of blocking interstate transport. Instead of dwelling on that, I'd like to read from the Bible. This comes from Psalm 140. I'm sure you could find other Psalms as well. Deliver me, O Lord, from evil men. Preserve me from violent men, who plan evil things in their heart and stir up wars continually. They make their tongue sharp as a serpent's, and under their lips is the venom of asps. Guard me, O Lord, from the hands of the wicked. Preserve me from violent men, who have planned to trip up my feet. The arrogant have hidden a trap for me, and with cords they have spread a net. Beside the way they have set snares for me. I say to the Lord, you are my God. Give ear to the voice of my pleas for mercy, O Lord. O Lord, my Lord, the strength of my salvation. You have covered my head in the day of battle. Grant not, O Lord, the desires of the wicked. Do not further their evil plot, or they will be exalted. For the head of those who surround me, let the mischief of their lips overwhelm them. Let burning coals fall upon them. Let them be cast into fire, into miry pits, no more to rise. Let not the slanderer be established in the land. Let evil hunt down the violent man speedily. I know that the Lord will maintain the cause of the afflicted, and will execute justice for the needy. Surely the righteous shall give thanks to your name, and the upright shall dwell in your presence. I ask the Lord for his mercy to be upon all who hear this message and upon his people everywhere. May those who are under attack be defended, and may those who have a voice speak out the truth of the gospel of Jesus Christ. The Lord has given his life for us. May we be willing to do the same. Peace to all who hear. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Well, thank you, Richard. Richard is a longtime supporter of the show and has actually helped me. He gave me a camera, which unfortunately kind of had a problem recently, but I was using that for a couple of years, and he's got another camera he wants to give me. I just have to tell him which one, and I will give him my answer. He gave me a choice of 2 cameras, which is wonderful because I can't afford, obviously, if I'm doing this, I can't afford to go out and find cameras on the street. So I better stop here and tell you what's going on behind the scenes here. We have been given, 3 people have come through. We had Andre from Albania, and let me switch here to the to the other camera, and so we had a gift of $100 from Andre, $50 from Lance. Thank you so much, Lance. $24 from Michael Stasovich, who keeps giving. By the way, Michael, I do not have your mother's email address, and I would like to send her a big batch of Georgian music if she wants it. So find out from her. So that means we now only need $586 to finish the $2,000 barge fee. And we have collected thus far in total to get to our $12,000 goal, $7,414. So that is pretty amazing, I must confess. And even on a New Year's evening, which is really great. So let's see, we've got about a half hour until we get to the New Year's. And James, you didn't listen to anything new or watch anything new this year?
Oh God, I can't even think of anything I watched that was new. I'm pretty bad.
What did you rediscover?
Pardon?
What did you rediscover this year? The old stuff.
Oh, massive amounts. I mean, I've been watching like every Friday night horror movies from the 70s. So that's why I did that series on horror movies from the 70s. So I watched huge amounts of, like, I pretty much must have seen over the past 3 years at least 200 to 300 movies from that era. And yeah, so I've been really immersed in that. I'm immersed myself in a lot of different music. What I find disturbing is Spotify actually knows exactly what I want. And I find that really weird because I'm listening to like British post-punk, underground music from everything from this underground music from the 60s, like the Fugs and things like that, free jazz. And they'll have playlists for me for all of those. Now, it's not like I'm going out and buying Britney Spears or something. I can understand them having those catered playlists for the masses, but they find a specific playlist for me as this, what I consider myself a kind of unique consumer, but I'm just another consumer to them, and they've found my niche. Yeah. It's disturbing, actually. I mean, it's great in some sense. I've even gotten introduced to music I didn't know as well, right?
Tyler, it looks like you're trying to say something along the same lines here.
Yeah, it's both awesome and terrifying. The effectiveness of not just Spotify and Apple Music algorithm. I think Spotify's probably got the most powerful one because the playlist generation is just so accurate, and like you said, they'll introduce you to new music that it's just so on point. Like, yep, this is my taste. I guess they've narrowed me down to an algorithm and a formula somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I'll just type in, say, like, I'm listening to 90s indie band, the Jesus Lizard, and there'll be like 3 or 4 other bands in that vein. Some I haven't even heard of. They're now on this playlist randomly. There might be even bands that released one single one time, and that's on the playlist. Like really strange things. Like, you know who Rocket from the Tombs are? That was like the precursor band to Pere Ubu and the Dead Boys. Yeah. They'll have them on the list. Like, they didn't even release music when they were around, and it's really, really interesting that they're able to do that. So it's like they've got every ground covered, no matter what it consider you are.
I don't use Spotify because, for one thing, it's like I can switch on a dime what I'm interested in. Somebody's doing something there. I can shift on a dime. And so, for instance, I just got, Tayo, we were talking last time, I just got a double CD set of the greatest reggaeton hits, which I'm saying, hey, this stuff wasn't bad, you know? And then, although I would say, like, there's an awful lot of it, though. But nevertheless, I start with a couple pieces and just kind of work my way out. And I picked up a couple of hip-hop collections, although the majority of it is earlier than, say, the year 2000, and then there's a lot of it is not as much as I wanted from the recent period. But I have picked up, for instance, I have a greatest hits of The Weeknd, who's not rap, and but greatest hits of Drake, just because I feel like, okay, these guys have called
both from Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. How strange is that? And but I'm trying to, I branch out. So what will happen is occasionally I'll order these things off Amazon. They'll suddenly think this is my musical taste. And so I go like, okay, let's get that Renaissance record now, or let's get some down and dirty blues. If I really want to screw them up, let's get minstrel music. Looks like we've got Chad here. Let's get Chad on here. Make it crazy. So, Chad, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, bro.
Happy New Year, man.
So, a few minutes. What do you got, Chad? Talk to us. How's your 23 been?
23 was a good year, I thought. I hope that 24 is better. I hope I can be on better behavior in 24. In my personal life, I guess. But 23 I thought it was a good, solid year overall, personally, and getting involved more in my community that I live in. And I thought artistically, so this year was the year that I got acquainted with Sleep Token, which I've been obsessed with. And I keep trying to tell people to go check it out because I think they have some really incredible music. I sent you a live performance, Fern.
Yeah, Sleep Token.
Yeah, they performed.
I found that interesting.
Yeah,
I appreciated that.
From Wembley, and that was their biggest show to date, which was a fantastic show. Film wise, I didn't watch a lot of movies this year. I wasn't intrigued by a lot of movies, although my wife and I watched a lot of BritBox this year.
Right.
And
what have you been checking out?
I thought so we watched Luther for the first time, which I thought was fascinating. The show The Tunnel, which was a remake of another show, that was a really good show. The Unforgotten, I thought was a great show. All of those were very, very, I thought, very good detective shows, on the BritBox. So those are, but mostly I've just been listening to, corner stuff, Vanderklay, and mostly Vanderklay, honestly.
Hey, James, I just wanted to point out, actually, this year was pretty good for horror films. And the last couple of years have been the pandemic years and beyond have been pretty good because we've got new fears now. And
new anxieties.
yeah, so I really liked Evil Dead Rise. I thought for me it was almost the best of the series. And then
better than the first one?
To me was really fascinating as well. But so let's see. I think let's talk a little bit more, and then I'm going to play some music, and I'm going to say farewell to all of you. I might have a couple other people who want to get on here. ACW or Luke, if you want to get on, let me know. And do you guys have anything else to say?
Yeah, I was just going to bring up. Sorry, James. Really.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I went to the BFI Film Festival in London, where Scorsese did the European premiere of his new film, The Killer of the Flower Moon.
Yeah.
Have you checked that out?
That's cool.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to watch that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I thought
I watched it twice.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty solid. I did have a few quibbles, but in general, I it could be looked at as yet another white man evil kind of thing. But I don't think that was his point really. And I really liked the Native American actress. I just heard her name. But I thought the thing about her is I knew those people in Alaska. There's certain kind of native, different kinds of natives, but they have a certain kind. For instance, their humor is super dry. They'll often find things funny, but they'll keep it to themselves a lot. And she did that just like perfectly. I said, yeah. This is one of the first Native Americans I've seen in a while that really strikes me as being authentic. Whereas a lot of times you get people. I've seen all sorts of people who, it's kind of like they're playing being the native, where she just was. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Ko, sorry, I was just going to ask, your family's originally from Nigeria, you said?
Correct.
Are you a big fan of some of the artists there? I'm thinking King Sunny Ade and Fela Kuti.
Yes. King Sunny Ade, Fela Kuti.
So Tayo, favorite classic Nigerian pop musicians, Afro pop.
Oh, it's Fela and or
right.
This this artist that only ever wore a mask. What is his name? Anyway, yeah, but it's Fela or give me a second. This is going to. Wrong time. Oh, it's not him, but also I can't forget the great Musiliu Ishola, who is the precursor to a lot of the Afrobeats that's popular everywhere nowadays.
Right.
Lagbaja, it was the name I was thinking of. Lagbaja and Fela Kuti.
Okay. I once went to a King Sunny Ade concert in New York City, and it was like every Nigerian was there, and there were a bunch of people who, your standard New Yorkers who had just discovered King Sunny Ade. It was when his first, I think it was Juju Music album, when that was first being released on Mango, I think, which is the Island Records subsidiary. And what I realized watching them, everyone was singing along and they knew the stuff. And I said, I'm not getting the real version here. The real version of this would be in Nigeria, would have to be much longer. It would have to be probably an outdoor concert, people, lots of dust, people singing, and it would just be this whole day. But it was fascinating to me. I really loved it, and especially
King Sunny Ade was always being played Saturday morning when especially when you have to wake up to do chores. So I've got I've got a prickly relationship with him. But Ebenezer Obey, I'm not sure. Dr. Ebenezer Obey was another one in that class that I just absolutely love and still go back to.
Right. Okay, well, James, do you have any final words before I cut you guys off here? It looks like I've got CW might be coming on.
No, just wishing both you to have a great 2024. And Bern, I hope that we can get that library over from Alaska to Tbilisi, because I'm personally very fascinated by what might be in it. It looks like it's going to be a rich resource that we can that you can help people.
I'm going to do more. I'm going to do more of these Georgian gatherings, and you should think about saving up your money and coming over in a couple of years. So not this year coming up, but the next year in 2025, I'm definitely going to do it. And with a lot of some of the guys who already were here, and like Luke, who's out there, and who Luke says he's got a friend really into Sleep Token now. But anyway, you guys are both welcome to come, and I've appreciated meeting both of you and spending more time with both of you this year. So let's see what we got here musically to get out of this world. I've used a lot of stuff up, but I haven't used Kate Bush. So here, this is like the earliest Kate Bush. So we'll play that, and then we'll be back, see if someone else has got, I know I've got a little bit more money. And thank you both, and may you both have meaningful 2024s, and thank you for spending a bit of 2023 with me.
Thanks for all you've done, Ben.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
It gets
Okay, we're going to bring CW on in just a moment, but we've got a little action on the big board here, and I thought I would give you a little update. So, what we've got, just had, who is this? Boomtown Rags, evidently a take on Boomtown Rats. Boomtown Rats, 10 American dollars, which brings our new total up to we now need $575 to get to, $576. That's an odd amount, isn't it? To get to the $2,000 barge amount, which means our overall total, we need $4,576. Evidently, I have no pride. I will keep doing this until we get there, which gives us the grand total we have so far raised for Burns Library, 7,424 American simoleons. And here we have CW coming on and me. Okay, hold on. Did I get you? No, I didn't. Try it again. Okay, hold on. Burn is there. CW is there.
Hey.
Well, it's nice to have you in the last few moments of 2023. For me, for you, there's a lot of time left.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
So how have you been? How has your 2024 been?
Oh man, I don't know. I feel like I'm reaching the sort of unpleasant, rapidly approaching middle age stage where you have all these nebulous like health conditions. I don't think people are really interested in hearing.
How old are you?
I'll be 40 next year.
Okay, nebulous health conditions. As someone who's 68 years old, I'm like, yeah, just wait.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the other thing too, because it's like I can't complain to you, because you've been there and done that and had much more horrifying things, I'm sure.
So, well, but life is going, as they say.
Yeah, I'm a little sad because it's totally worth it. Totally worth getting early access to your long form fiction. But now I'm a little more intrigued by your philosophical mystery, the Longhouse. That is, this is
I mentioned that too.
Now for me to anticipate the successful completion of your fundraising project. Because I understand that your manuscript, your magnum opus in your fiction writing is actually there with all these things exiled in Alaska.
Yeah. Well, for those of you who don't know what he's referring to is he actually paid beyond money as part of the fundraiser here to get an early edition of my first novel called The Five Masters of Reality, which evidently, according to modern means of how you publish a novel in the modern world. I broke the rules, so it's just like, because if you read the way they write how you're supposed to do it, and I just say, no, I'm just writing the novel. I really, I've read enough literature to know what a good novel is. We can still read Dickens, we can still read Dostoevsky, we can still read Hemingway. We're not that far removed. My language works within the context of, all of that sort of stuff. And I see Luke, he's going to come on in a moment. But anyway, so then what I also did is on my very obscure channel, Lacrimatorium, which means Chamber of Tears, I just put a version of a short story that I did a few years ago called, The End of an Era. And I read that on there with some visual images that kind of fit that epoch, the end of the 20th century. And if you read the novel, and if you listen to that, you will notice a name in common. Have you?
I'm not sure that I picked that up yet. It might have escaped me. I'm only in like.
No, it's chapters. The main character in.
Oh, is Marty in there?
Yes.
Okay. Nice. I'll have to go back and watch that. Yeah, I was more just sort of absorbing the context.
Yeah, but he's also talking about my I told him there's a second novel that I have a 400-page rough draft for that I started to edit it, and it's my Alaskan book, whereas The Five Masters of Reality, which I really want to get printed up, at least in some form, is my New York book. And maybe someday there will be a Georgian book. But I have a whole series besides that I want to get before I die. So I'm saying, Lord, I'll take another 20 years. Give it to me. I'll fill it up with stuff. Just keep my health somewhat, manageable, and I'll be good. So
if Longhouse is a philosophical mystery, which I'd be curious to hear you elaborate on what genre that is exactly.
So is The Five Masters of Reality, because obviously there's a lot of philosophy going on in there, but it's not normal philosophy by any means. It's not like the third master is talking about Heidegger or something.
Yeah,
so
it's not like Ayn Rand, where there's all these overt theoretical soliloquies. Right.
We are going to bring Luke on right now. So
mercifully,
Luke, welcome. Greetings. How was your 2024? Sorry, we don't know that yet. How was your 2023?
It was pretty good.
I know you had at least one good trip during that period.
Yep. That was probably my favorite part of 2023. Other than that, it was just
Luke was one of the guys who came on the to the gathering in Georgia, and I said to Luke, Luke's from Mississippi. I said to him while he was here, Luke, without a doubt, you are the most foreign person here, because nobody has ever met anyone from Mississippi. There are people from Kazakhstan here. There are people from Turkmenistan here. There are people from Australia here. There are Africans here. There are, people from India, people from New York City, people from Germany, people from the Czech Republic, all over the place. But no one's ever met a Mississippian.
Right. And what's crazy about that is that I'm not even the most Mississippian of Mississippians. I'm just kind of a halfway Southern kind of guy.
I told the other guys who came here, Luke says he doesn't really represent Mississippi much, and we all said, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So what are your hopes for 2024?
Well, I'm hoping to make a little more progress with music. I'm still learning guitar and music theory and a little bit of production, and I'm hoping to have a better career this next year. I started getting into roofing sales, which is kind of the opposite of what I was doing before, but so far it seems good.
Cool. So I'm just noticing we've got about 6 minutes until my midnight here. So I'm going to have to do something at that point. I have a ritual that I go through. Let's see if there's any messages. Oh, I see. Todd Coleman is Boomtown Rags, which makes sense. You'd get the Boomtown Rats thing from your period. Boomtown Rags instead of Boomtown Rats, which is like an 80s, late 70s, early 80s band. What kind of music do you want to make?
Well, I still haven't decided. I've been looking back into some blues stuff like you had said and trying to get back into some roots of where I'm from, but I'm still really into heavy metal music, and I've started practicing a lot of Iron Maiden songs on guitar because I started listening to Iron Maiden. It's like one of the first bands I listened to, and I didn't think I could ever play the guitar or those guitar parts in those songs, and now I'm getting to a point where it's possible, so I'm trying to push it and really learn them. And other than that, I'm trying to learn just basic blues stuff like the 12-bar blues, maybe some B.B. King songs, but other than that, I'm not really sure. I'll just have to keep doing it until I develop my own style, I guess.
Cool. And CW, what are your hopes for 2024?
Oh man, well, part of my strange camera angle here is I'm experimenting with audio-visual production possibilities to see if I want to wade into the dystopian hellscape of online content creation that you have, you and others have kind of paved the way for, random, latently Christian malcontents like myself to enter. So. Yeah, I'm contemplating doing a YouTube thing, conversational dialogue surrounding what I consider to be a kind of like part ecclesiological model, but part sociological phenomenon, which I call the Christian diaspora. So it's people who have a deeply held Christian conviction and commitment, but for whatever reason can't quite comfortably inhabit extant traditional forms of church life.
Right.
And I don't mean to define it, overly oppressively or prescriptively, or anything, but I do think that that is descriptive enough of a growing population of people, certainly in my context here in America. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of toying with exploring that through conversation on the internet. God help me, Bern.
Well, Jacques Ellul says at the end of his third technology book, The Technological Bluff, he says that we have, technology doesn't totally encircle us, but we have cracks of freedom at any given point. And right now, for me, YouTube is a crack of freedom. Will it remain? Probably not, because nothing does. But tell me if you guys can hear what's going on out here.
I can't.
Yes? No?
No. A little bit, no.
I hear something.
Yeah. Well, that tells me I shouldn't spend too much time. I'm trying to get that sound. But basically,
I'm getting a little of it. A little bit
outside. Of it. And this would be
like the 4th of July out there, Bern?
Much worse. This would be the perfect time for if someone wanted to start an insurrection. This would be the time. Unfortunately, my speaker here is not very good because I'm using a 2012 Mac, which I've retooled the insides a bit. One thing in my last minute here, and then I'm going to give us a little Happy New Year. One thing I want to say before I go too far is that I am really hoping, I think Richard did this thing earlier where he's thinking 2024 could be a pretty intense year. I think it will be, which is one of the reasons why I want to get my library here in the first part of the year. But also, I think that it will be intense. However, that doesn't leave me in despair because I think culturally, theologically, there's room. Right now, there's a door opening up. Is like Jacques Ellul's cracks of freedom. Something can happen now that, for instance, 5 years ago couldn't have happened. It was too clogged up. But right now, things are moving around, as Leonard Cohen says, sliding in all directions. I think we are, this is, I was talking with my friend Todd earlier, and, he knew me in 1980 when I was giving lectures for this New York arts group, this Christian art group, on the new dark age. And I was doing that in 1980, whatever. But I told him, we're now in my period. This is what I've been waiting for. And to me, it's not bad news. It's just like, okay, we're here. Let's deal with these things. Let's do the new thing that we need to do. Let's not be, the problem with so many people in the Christian church, as much as I love them, they are always behind. They're always trying to catch up. They're always trying to imitate other people to this is what we should do for music. This is the kind of movie we should make. We should have a Christian television channel. And what I like about what we're doing on YouTube and this kind of thing is we're not really imitating anybody. We're just doing this stuff. Look at us. Got some guy from Mississippi with long hair plays the blues. Got you interested in Reformed theology, me doing whatever it is I do. Think of some of the people we've had here, some of the other people who are leaving comments. Pretty amazing. So Todd was thanking us for being with here. And I just want to say Happy New Year from Tbilisi, 12 hours away from California, 3 hours away from Paris. I don't know how many hours away from you guys. You guys
Happy New Year. You alluded to your birthday, but you didn't say when it was. What if people out there want to wish you a happy birthday sometime? You got to.
Yeah, well, that's in July.
Okay, July. I'll give you the date.
Yeah. I don't really give that information out. I've had too many people want to tell me about. I'll put it to you this way. There are 2 2s in it, so I'll just say that. Say it in kind of sly way. So I have a ritual I'm going to do. I have to get something here out. One of the things I do at the beginning of every new year is the first thing I do is I eat 2 foods I've never had before. So I've got 2 here. Let me go into the refrigerator and I've got something to eat and something to drink. I'll be right back. You guys talk.
So Luke, you made the pilgrimage to Georgia.
Yep, it was a pretty big deal for me because I'd never been out of the country before, and I thought it'd be a great way or a great excuse to get my passport and then go out of the country.
Yeah.
And it was kind of hard for me to do, but I saved up some money and I was able to go. So it was a really good experience.
Yeah, would you say that having had that experience, has that altered your trajectory as you understood it prior to deciding to go and having the experience?
Yeah, I would say it definitely has.
And then where do you kind of like how would you describe that shift? Like where were you going and where do you see yourself moving now as a result of this dramatic cross-cultural event?
There was a lot of things that were brought up while we were there, like even just talking amongst the other people who were there. We had all kinds of conversations about stuff that I wasn't expecting. Like one of the guys has a phone business that he built, and another one of the guys I forget what he did, but a lot of them were fairly professional at a young age, and I wanted to get kind of like that as well. But that's not the main takeaway. The main takeaway was the culture, and then it made me think more deeply about Christianity because we went to some Orthodox Christian sites there, and then when I came back home, one of my cousins is actually an Orthodox Christian. I didn't know it until I came back home, and he invited me out to their church, and I went there.
There's a synchronicity for you, right?
Yeah. And it got me thinking about it a little more than I used to. So that's one of the things. But also, since I've come back, I've been thinking about trying to help out the community where I live more than I used to. So if I do get to a place where I'm making more money and I have the opportunity to help the community where I live, I would rather do that than donate to a random charity.
Yeah.
So we'll be back to this in just a moment, but I want to bring out my 2 pieces of new food. The first one is, let's see if I can do this correctly, cheese. This is actually a Dutch cheese. There's a really nice store here that has cheeses from all over the world. I've had all the Georgian cheeses. So, but this is from a company called Van der Heyden, and it's an old cheese, probably the Gouda type or Gouda to use it. So I'm going to try that now. And also to go with it, I found, where is this? There we are. It says Sassy, which sounds like kind of a postmodern name, but it's actually from France, and it's some sort of pear cider, alcoholic pear cider from the north of France. So we're going to try that. And, sometimes when I do this, I go like, okay, this is a taste I've already had. Other times I go like, wow, like last year I had a kind of peach champagne from Italy, which was like, I'm still remembering that, obviously. So, okay, that Dutch cheese has got a recognizable taste, but it's definitely aged. It's very good. And then
bottoms up.
Oh, that's a nice flavor. Pear
Fermented
cider.
pear.
With France. So
how was your pairing? Did you do a good job?
I don't know. I think so. Yes. Cheese
together. Yeah.
And hard pear cider. So again, Happy New Year's. And so CW, you're kind of reformed, unless I missed my guess. Yes.
Yeah, I characterize I have a weird designation that's meant to scare people away. I call myself a cosmonomic existentialist. That's more designed to dissuade the uninterested, so they'll be like, whatever, eyes will glaze over, But yeah, it's kind of like a hyper Protestantism. Like I see Herman Dooyeweerd behind me here as the intellectual heir to John Calvin, and Soren Kierkegaard as the spiritual successor to Martin Luther. So my own Christianity is kind of equally informed by their lives and work, I would say.
This is getting better, this cheese. I purposely left it out to get room temperature. And the more
it's
I
like
eat
a wound burn, it needs air.
Exactly.
Right?
It's alive.
It's like an open wound.
Well, I wanted to get your opinion, CW. What do you make, being as you are very reformed, but in a cosmonomic sense, what is your take on the, I don't want to call it the Orthodox revival, because it was really never much of a thing here, but what do we call it? Orthodox?
Well, at least in some quarters of the internet, including certainly this little corner, I would say there seems to anecdotally be a resurgence, or maybe it's not even a resurgence, but a newfound interest in Orthodox. I mean, we just had Luke describing his experience visiting you in Georgia, only to discover upon his return that his cousin was Orthodox.
Yeah.
So I mean, the anecdotes continue to pile up here. I mean, I do think there's something of a sample bias. I'm not a statistician or anything. You could ask Sam Tiedemann, I guess, what the nature of that sample bias is, and I'm sure he could explain it to you. But for my personal, so I guess I have less things to say about whether that is occurring and what the overall social significance or scope of it is. But for my personally, what I would say about it is Herman Dooyeweerd is one of only two Protestant thinkers from the 20th century to actually explicitly endorse the Eastern Orthodox conception of God and reject the classical Western understanding. And the other thinker was none other than Karl Barth, who arguably was, one of the most significant theologians of the 20th century. So for my purposes, the sort of interest in orthodoxy is to the good, but I mean, ecclesiologically, personally, that's not an option for me.
I understand.
But I don't begrudge anyone becoming Orthodox, and as I'm kind of alluding to here, there's lots of things theologically, in particular, about their view of God. Not so much the theoontology, but as the absolute prohibition against theoontology that I deeply share convictions about. And actually, I would like to see something more like that understanding of God in a very abstract theological, for my purposes, sort of Western analytical mode, appropriated into more other branches of Christianity. So that's something. How's that for you? There's an esoteric.
Uh-oh. Hold on. I got to interrupt this again. My dear friend, Nancy Stasovich, who has already, she's wiped out the size of your contribution with her third donation here.
Nice.
Another $400, which is pretty amazing. So I'm going to stop here, go to the other camera,
Yeah, go to the board. Go to the
And
big board.
hold on a minute. I don't know. Can you see that? Is that at all in your?
I could see something.
Yeah.
Kind of half a window, half of some numbers.
Is that better?
Yeah, okay, I'm seeing there's like a 400. Oh, the 400, is that, did you just write that?
Okay, so Nancy, what are you doing? Thank you, thank you. You need an MVP award here. And we're talking with the guy who spent $500 on my unpublished manuscript. So, jeepers, I am surrounded by people who care. Okay, so that's 1,176. So that's now 78, 24. Okay. Nancy, I hope you want some Georgian music because you will be getting it. So
whether you want it or not.
Yeah, you're going to get about 200 files. I hope you can find something in there you like. Okay, let me give you the updated statistics here, for which I am like deeply, deeply grateful. I am always amazed when anybody gives me anything. I take the $10 ones just like this, but so where are we? Oops, I got to change something here. Okay, no. I thought I had it wrong, but I don't. So we need $176 to get to my $2,000 barge fee. And then we have another $4,000 after that for the other two aspects. But that's pretty amazing. So we need basically, to finish this whole thing up, we need $4,176, which is incredible. We're doing very well this evening. New Year's has been the new year has already been very good to me. And so that means we now have a total of $7,924 that we have raised towards the $12,000 goal, but we're almost at $800. And maybe I should threaten not to go to bed until I get to that 2,000 mark for the next one. But I'm not going to blackmail anybody.
If you're going to go full pirate radio, you'd have to broadcast from the barge carrying the container.
Yeah, well, I started playing some stuff a few weeks ago, and I got stopped in the middle. Did you see that? I got stopped in the middle of something because I was playing stuff that was too,
It's amazing they're able to do that in real time. They kind of like hijack your broadcast, but they don't take it down, right? They just
what it is that most of the stuff, they will allow me to play it anyway, but for many people, they want to get monetized. I can't get monetized, so I don't care if I get a copyright. Someone says, you'd owe us money if you got monetized. Well, it's almost 15 minutes after the hour.
Bern, have you ever outsourced your new food and drink to other
great.
people?
It's really
have you
great.
ever outsourced that to other people and had strange?
No. Oh, actually, last year I did. I had these 3 Belarusians here who were part of the Russian.
Trusted them with your palate?
Yeah. No, I had this peach champagne, which was like amazing, and then I think it was some kind of cheese that went with that, but evidently it wasn't super memorable. And I don't write it down every year and try to do that. I figure if it's good, I'll remember it. The peach champagne, I will remember. I did have a Belgian beer once that was from one of the oldest companies on earth. I think they started in like 890 or something like that, which is pretty incredible. So before I'm going to get out of here pretty soon. Do you guys have any, Luke, final thoughts? What do you want to tell us?
I don't really have any final thoughts, or I don't have much to add, I guess. But it was nice talking to you all, and Happy New Year.
And Luke, I was really happy to meet you this year.
Yeah, I was happy to meet you too.
If you want to talk, like on a Zoom chat or anything, just hang out and talk a little bit. Just feel free to call me, and we'll do it anytime.
Yes, sir.
And ditto with you, CW. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, well, like I said, I feel like I'm gonna have a bone to pick with you now, because now I've learned that the novel that I've secured here presents the problem and is meant to devastate me, both psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, all of that. And then, your proposed tentative solution is.
Did I in any way tell you that the Longhouse was the answers?
I don't think so, but
no,
yeah,
it's not. But what the difference is the Longhouse is the conversation.
Okay.
The 8 figures there are so different from each other; they have a conversation.
Oh, there's 8. Interesting. Okay, so I'm
yeah,
gleaning
and they
little
have
tidbits.
a different viewpoint on everything. So it was my way. I wrote it in 2010. It was my way of saying, okay, but I'm so glad I wrote it then and not now. Same with this book. There's stuff in this book that would seem like I was responding to the world now, but I wasn't. So,
yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to cut you guys off. I'm going to play one more piece of music, and then I'm going to wrap things up here alone. And I really appreciate both of you coming on. I've appreciated everyone coming on. Todd, Tayo, Chad, James, everyone, and plus the people, Richard and Upcycle and everyone else, Martin from Sweden, and who was the other one? And James. So thank you all.
Well, thank you so much, Bern. Hopefully Laurel and I will get out there to see you, and then maybe we'll meet Luke there.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking of maybe doing a slightly different variation on the gathering in Georgia this year. I'm still thinking about whether I will do that. And the difference is none of those guys get to come. It's not going to be a climb the mountain peaks trip, because I could just imagine there were certain people. If I brought them along with these guys are just like, look, another grassy peak that goes up 10,000 feet. We got to get up there. So
we're too old for it. Give us the cheese and your fermented pear drink, and we'll be good.
Exactly. Okay. Happy New Year to both of you, and we will meet again. Drobit.
Happy New Year.
Okay, so I'm going to play a bit of music to conclude. What have I got here? Anything worth playing? Not really. Okay, so yeah, I don't have anything else queued up, so we'll just leave it at that. And thank you all for the people who have spent time with us and part of this. And this isn't a community; it's more of a what is it? Guild? I hate applying the word community to everything. To me, a community really has to have physicality to it, different parts. So this is something different than a community, but it is something in which we are together in some sort of way. And thank you, Michael. No Old Lang Syne. Yeah, I only know, I don't know the words. Who does? Oh, may old Aquinas be forgot? No, let's remember Aquinas. Yeah. No, digital community is like, oh, really? Am I numbers and zeros and ones? No, I don't think so. I think we need the communities physically. We need to manifest them physically. And so Luke's 20th Century Music and Arts. I was a big, okay, yeah, got that. All right. I also made another small, yes, I saw your other small contribution. And again, thank you. And let's see, let me just take one look around, see if there's anything happening over on the GoFundMe page, which doesn't refresh itself automatically. Nancy, thank you so much. Thank you so much for providing. Oh, Jack Grant, $20. Okay, we'll take that. We'll take that. So that brings us to a total of, I need $156 to get to 2,000 to get the barge here. So that's not bad. Thank you, Jack. I'll write you down and we'll do that. It's late here. I hope you have your own different kinds of New Year's Eve ceremonies. And let's hope 2024 is above all meaningful, truthful, peaceful. And if it isn't, that we have courage. This is Bern from Tbilisi saying Droabit. We will meet again.